Hello guys, I'm back. Today I'll talk to you about the 1013 rules applied to heat exchangers. In this video, I will show you what is this rule, how to perform the calculations related to these rules, and also what are the main standards related to this subject. My name is Jefferson Costa and I teach students, graduates, and engineers how to work with chemical process engineering and plant design. Do you understand what is the 1013 rule? First, you need to know where it comes from. And the main standards associated with these rules are the API 521 and also the ASME Section 8 DV1. Why? Because based on the API 521 pressure relieving and the pressuring systems, it is the responsibility of the user, in this case the chemical process engineer, to determine the overpressure scenarios upon which the pressure relief system is designed and to determine the method of overpressure protection used to mitigate its scenario in accordance with the relevant codes. So when we are dealing with the design of a shell tube heat exchanger or other kinds of heat exchangers, we need to evaluate what are the safety scenarios. And based on this standard, it will ask for the code of fabrication of the heat exchanger. And that is why, in this case, the 1030 rule also is related to the ASME, because it is the most normal standard for fabrication of vessels in the US, in North America, where the API is related to. So even though you are not using the ASM, it is possible to apply the same principles of the 1013 rules, and you will understand now how to do that. What says the API 521? The API 521 says that the pressure relief for tube rupture is not required where the low pressure heat exchanger side does not exceed the corrected hydrotest pressure. When we have a shunt tube heat exchanger, for instance, we have the process fluid and we have the cooling or heating fluid. And these fluids can operate in different pressure. So eventually, if you have a side that has a higher pressure than the other side, if the tube side has a higher pressure than the shell side, for instance, if there is a tube rupture, in the first site, I need to protect the lower pressure system or the lower pressure side with a PSV or a pressure relief device. I can't avoid having this PSV if I guarantee that the pressure will not exceed the correct hydrotest pressure. And the hydrotest pressure is defined by the code of fabrication of the equipment. And in this case, we are talking about the ASME. So what says ASME? ASME says that vessel designed for internal pressure shall be subjected to a hydrostatic test pressure that at every point in the vessel is at least equal to 1.3 times the maximum allowable working pressure multiplied by the lowest stress ratio for the material of which the vessel is constructed. In this case, the heat exchanger applies to the ASME code, and because of that, we have this relationship between the maximum allowable working pressure and the hydrostatic pressure. If the code of fabrication of the vessel or of the heat exchanger changes, the value representing the times that we must guarantee the maximum allowable working pressure can change, but the principle is the same because the API 521 says that we must guarantee the corrected hydrotest pressure, and it do not indicate for each code must be followed. What happens is that when we are doing the design of our system in the preliminary stage of plant design, we don't have the maximum allowable working pressure of the equipment because the maximum allowable working pressure of the equipment is calculated based on the material and thickness of the equipment. What we have in the basic engineering design is the design pressure of the equipment defined by the chemical process engineer. So is the chemical process engineer based on some rules that defines the design pressure of the equipment, but the maximum allowable working pressure is calculated based on the thickness and material used by the fabricator of the vessel or of the heat exchanger. Because of that, ASME says that the maximum allowable working pressure may be assumed to be the same as the design pressure when calculations are not made to determine the maximum allowable working pressure. Let's go to a case study to let it easier to you to understand how to apply these rules associated with the API 521 and also the ASME code. So here we have a shunt tube heat exchanger where the high pressure natural gas enters the tube side and leaves the exchanger at a desired temperature. Low pressure steam condenses on the shell side and the exchanger operates with no fluiding conditions. So we have here a condensate pot to guarantee that we have the collection of the condensate, but in fact the heat exchanger side, the shell side, will not have condensate. So here you can see that we already have a pressure relief device associated to this equipment because as I have here 113 bar G as for the high pressure fluid, if I have a tube eruptor in my heat exchanger and I go to the lower side of my process, I go to the steam side where it operates at 3.5 bar G. If I do not protect the shell side, I will rupture this equipment having release of material, undesired material. So to prevent that, I have here a PSV sending the relief to the flare. So this is the basis of our problem discussion. And the main point here is that what design pressure should be considered at the low pressure side to avoid the PSV. As the rule says, if I guarantee that in the low pressure side I will not exceed the hydrotest pressure, I can avoid the use of having this PSV in the low pressure side. So how to perform calculations related to this problem? So the first thing that you must do when you are dealing with chemical process engineering plant design is to collect the process variables and process properties of the fluids. So in this case, we need to set what is the maximum operating pressure of the system. In this case, high pressure system. Let's assume that this information here is already the maximum operating pressure of the high pressure natural gas. So after that, we need to apply the rules associated with the 1013 rules. So if I get 10 divided by 13, I will have this number here. And based on this number, I will multiply the high pressure side maximum operating pressure by the rule to have what should be the design pressure, the minimum design pressure of the low pressure system to avoid using a pressure relief device. Based on that, I find a number here, 86.7 more or less, but you will learn when working as a chemical process engineering plant design that we always apply some kind of rounding up to have better numbers to deal with. So in this case, I will consider that my best value for the design pressure of the lower pressure side is 87 bar G, and when I multiply it by the rules of the code that says that I must guarantee 1.3 times the maximum allowable working pressure of the equipment, I will get here 113.1 bar G as the pressure for my hydro test. So if I compare the maximum operating pressure with the hydro test pressure, I can verify that the pressure in my hydro test is higher than my maximum operating pressure in the high pressure side. So because of that, I can remove or I don't need to have the PSV in the lower pressure side. One point of attention here is that for this exercise, I consider the maximum operating pressure of the high pressure side. But a more conservative way to apply this rule is to consider the design pressure of the high pressure side. To guarantee the correct application of the 1013 rules, I must evaluate or I must include the upstream and downstream system from my low pressure side. What it means? Let's suppose that I changed my material and the thickness of the sharing tube heat exchanger, and now it applies to the 1013 rules. If I have free passage of my fluid from the higher pressure side to the lower pressure side going to a safe location, I will not have any issue with the equipment. But let's suppose that I have here this level control valve closed, and I will eventually have a check valve in the lower pressure side. So if I do not guarantee that these regions in my sharing tube heat exchanger or in my pipes and my valves are able to handle the design pressure of the equipment, I will have the rupture in the same way. So when you are performing the pipe instrumentation diagram, besides worrying about the equipment to the correct application of the 1013 rules, I must also guarantee that the pressure rating of my isolation valves also applies to the rule. Because this way, if I have a tube rupture and my system or my sharing tube heat exchanger is isolated, I will guarantee that my system, my low pressure side system, will not rupture at all. And when I do that, when I specify the lower pressure side to support the high pressure side, if the differences is too big, as we can see here, 100 bar G to 3.5 bar G, it do not make sense in the point of view of economics, because my project will be much more expensive if I change everything around the sharing tube heat exchanger, if instead I just add a PSV or a pressure relief device to guarantee the system protection in a case of failure. Now you know what the 1013 rule is and how to apply it. If you want to download this presentation for free, you just need to look for the link available in the description of this video. And as a chemical process engineer, it is not the only case that you must evaluate in terms of process safety. There are other cases that you must be familiar with in order to work with chemical process engineering and plant design. And if you want to know more about that, I recommend you to take a look on this video here.